Elena Rybakina is one of the most promising talents women's tennis has seen this decade. When she started making waves in early 2020, I knew she'd win multiple big titles in her career, and I was proven right when she lifted the Venus Rosewater dish at the 2022 Wimbledon Championships. After a moderately successful 2023 season where she won 2 WTA 1000 titles and finished runner-up at the Australian Open, I was certain that she'd be poised to add to her Grand Slam tally and claim more big titles. However, her 2024 season, marred by disappointing slam exits and unexpected tournament withdrawals, might be coming to an early end, with Rybakina announcing that she would skip the Asian swing, including the WTA 1000 events in Beijing and Wuhan. Many fans are still in the dark, as Rybakina has remained rather tight-lipped about her recent injury struggles and her split from longtime coach Stefano Vukov. This raises the question, will Rybakina fulfill her potential of becoming a multiple Grand Slam champion and future Hall of Famer, or will she remain a one-time slam winner and become one of tennis's biggest what-if stories? Hey, my name is Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you join Christian's crew, and also so you're notified whenever I post more updates about Miss Elena Rybakina. In a statement released Sunday announcing her latest withdrawals, Rybakina said, "Due to an ongoing back injury, I regretfully have to withdraw from the upcoming Asian tournaments. While I've been working hard on my recovery, my medical team and I have decided that it's best to prioritize my health at this time. This has been a challenging year, and I'm grateful for the support from the tournament organizers and all of my fans. My team and I will work on getting me back on the court before the season finale." Rybakina's right, this has definitely been a challenging 2024 season for her. She started the year very well and looked unstoppable when she clobbered the field in Brisbane, including top-seeded Aryna Sabalenka in the final 6-love, 6-3. Rybakina was deservedly the title favorite at the Australian Open, but she suffered a shock second-round exit to Anna Pliskova, which featured the longest tiebreak in Grand Slam history. The Kazakhstanian wasn't deterred though, as she won her very next tournament, the Abu Dhabi 500, before following that up with a runner-up showing in Doha, losing to two-time defending champion Iga Swiatek in the final. Rybakina then competed for the third consecutive week in Dubai, making the quarterfinals before giving her first walkover of 2024 to eventual champion Jasmine Paolini in the quarterfinals, citing gastrointestinal illness. That same illness prevented Rybakina from defending her Indian Wells title weeks later in March, which was a big disappointment for her. However, the Kazakh returned for the Miami Open, where she made an impressive run to the final, winning 4 grueling 3-setters before falling to Danielle Collins. Rybakina returned to the winner's circle at the start of the clay season, winning the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix in Stuttgart, scoring a win over number 1 Iga Swiatek in the semifinals, who was also the two-time defending champion. That was the only loss that Iga suffered during the regular clay 2024 season. Rybakina had a solid chance of going 2 for 2 in Madrid, but she was unable to serve out the match against Sabalenka in the semifinal, ultimately losing 7-5 in the third. Soon after, illness prevented Rybakina from defending another 1000 title, this time the Rome Italian Open. That's now basically like 2,000 points down the drain when you consider those Indian Wells and Rome withdrawals, as she was the defending champion, of course, of both those tournaments. Rybakina recovered in time for Roland Garros, where she dominated her first 4 matches with ease before falling to Jasmine Paolini in the quarterfinals in 3 sets. Rybakina did not play very well in this match, but you could argue still that she should have won it, being the better player, but it low-key looked like it was a mental collapse for her. Going over to the grass swing, Rybakina won her first match at the Berlin 500 before stopping 4 games into her quarterfinal against Victoria Azarenka due to abdominal pain. Elena was also scheduled to play the Eastbourne 500 that following week, but she withdrew from that due to wanting to be 100% for Wimbledon. At SW19, Rybakina looked like the woman to beat. Sabalenka withdrew ahead of the tournament, and Iga and Coco lost before the quarterfinals. Also, Rybakina was just dominating most of her opponents, and by semifinal Thursday, many were considering her a shoo-in to lift the Venus Rosewater dish for a second time. But Barbora Krejcikova had other plans. The Czech staged a comeback win over Rybakina in the semifinals and ultimately won the title. Barbora definitely deserved the title, but there's no denying that Rybakina fumbled there. It was similar to what we saw at Roland Garros, where she simply let the match slip through her fingers. despite being the better player, and that's an issue that has unfortunately plagued the 25-year-old for much of her career. After Wimbledon, Rybakina withdrew from both the Paris Olympics and the Toronto 1000 due to a bout with bronchitis, and she returned at the Cincinnati 1000 in early August. Rybakina held 2 match points over her opening round opponent Leylah Fernandez, but she double faulted on both of them before ultimately losing to the Canadian in 3 sets. With Rybakina's lack of recent match play and her poor US Open track record, the prospects of her going deep at the year's final major weren't great. Many fans were anticipating also another withdrawal from Rybakina, as the world number 4 was not seen practicing on the grounds in many days leading up to the tournament. And then also Elena announced that she was splitting with her longtime coach Stefano Vukov in an IG story post, so even I expected another withdrawal at this point. More about the Vukov split later, by the way. To my surprise, Rybakina took the court for her opening round match against Destiny Aeva, and she moved through in straight sets. But the 4th seed pulled out of her second round match against French qualifier Jessica Panchet the day of, citing lower back injuries. These withdrawals, whether they be due to injury or illness, haven't just plagued Rybakina in 2024. It really all started about 3 years ago in the Chicago 500 semifinals, where Elena retired down 4-6, 2-3 against Ons Jabeur. It wasn't clear what was troubling her, but the retirement was kind of startling because there was no clear sign of discomfort from the Kazakhstanian throughout the match. At the start of 2022, Elena dealt with a thigh issue which forced her to pull out of her Sydney round of 16 match against Caroline Garcia. The following week at the Australian Open, Rybakina retired from her second round match against Shuai Zhang due to that same leg problem. Then her next tournament at the St. Petersburg Open, Rybakina won her first match before pulling out due to illness. After that, she remained healthy for the remainder of that 2022 season. Now, 2023 brought issues for Rybakina throughout the entire season. She withdrew from Doha due to her wanting extra rest after making a deep run at the Australian Open, which is of course understandable. But in Dubai, Rybakina gave Coco Gauff a walkover from their highly anticipated third round match due to a lower back problem. In that year's Stuttgart Open, she retired down 1-6, 1-3 due to lower back problems as well. At Roland Garros, where she was one of the favorites after winning in Rome, Rybakina pulled out of her third round match versus Sara Tsitsipas due to an upper respiratory illness. At the Cincinnati Open, she retired at 6-4, 2-5 against Jasmine Paolini simply due to injuries. That was one of the more understandable retirements or withdrawals, as she had a hectic week prior in Montreal at the 1000 there due to crazy scheduling in the rain. After the US Open, Rybakina withdrew from the Tokyo 500, saying that she wasn't ready to compete, and then she opted out of playing the Zhengzhou 500, citing a back problem. This Rybakina situation is highly unusual. I have never seen a player deal with so many different health problems throughout a season and still remain inside the top 5. Typically, injury-prone players like Emma Raducanu or Bianca Andreescu face setbacks that keep them out of competition for months, making it hard for them to regain their form and maintain a solid ranking. Rybakina's seemingly weaker immune system is part of the issue, given the frequent illnesses that she's faced, but still, that's highly unusual in itself. Like, how often do we see a player withdraw this frequently due to illness? That's why I kind of suspect that there's more beneath the surface, and it might have something to do with her former coach, Stefano Vukov. Vukov and Rybakina's partnership was heavily scrutinized by many tennis fans who did not like Stefano's abrasive approach. Oftentimes, he would yell at Elena from the player's box and really just demean her. Pam Shriver, a commentator and former player, spoke out herself against Vukov's treatment of his charge. Rybakina defended her then coach, however, basically calling the claims of mistreatment fake news, and to understand Vukov as a passionate coach with a lot of knowledge about tennis. I wouldn't be surprised if Vukov had some type of connection to these bizarre withdrawals. It's just very, very fishy. What's more off is that there are reports that Vukov was removed from the WTA official coaching list, which signifies a ban. There's no official word from the tour on this matter explaining why he was removed from that official coaching list. It's also interesting that, according to Kim Kleisters on the Served podcast, that Vukov was on the grounds at the US Open and he even had a credential. Also, while editing this video, I came across some more possible information about Vukov possibly being behind these withdrawals. Russian tennis journalist Sonia Tartakova apparently did an interview with Tennis Bolshoi on YouTube where she said the following: "Many people do not understand the reason for such health problems. They said that Elena is having difficulties, back problems. This is the official reason. Then that during this year she had problems with her stomach. But as people who did not work with her but were involved in her professional career say she is now under a lot of stress and it is all psychosomatic. She is now in a completely disorganized state and she cannot play. And all these difficulties that she faces because a lot of very heavy pressure associated with her former coach, Stefano Vukov. They say that Stefano actually came to the US Open and that he was in New York and was ready to continue working with Elena, but that she had decided that they would break up because of a very difficult, I don't want to say big words, not quite the correct attitude of her mentor towards her. That is that he ate at her all the time, as people surrounded Elena say. Tartakova apparently went on to say that Rybakina's parents eventually stepped in and they advised their daughter to leave Vukov. Allegedly, Elena is trying to work through psychological problems related to the partnership. If this is true, I wouldn't be surprised judging from what we've seen from these two on camera, and there's no telling how worse things could have been off camera and behind closed doors. Of course, we can't definitively say that this is the case, at least until Elena herself says something, but hopefully the truth will be brought to light soon. Fans also noticed some scars or bruising on Elena's face in her US Open first round press conference. Now, I'm not connecting that to Vukov, but I'm just adding that as an extra observation. Some critics say that Rybakina is overhyped, but if you watch the woman play, there's just no question that she should be a multi-slam champion. Her base level is very solid, and when she's on her game, she's simply unbeatable, as we saw in Brisbane. Rybakina first really burst onto the scene in 2020 when she made 5 finals in the COVID-shortened season, and she finished tied second in match wins. Elena did not make a final in 2021, and that season wasn't too special for her outside of beating Serena en route to making the Roland Garros quarterfinals and also making the semifinals of the Tokyo Olympics, where she fumbled a medal twice. 2022 was more of the same, to be honest, just above mid, but of course Rybakina winning that slam title at Wimbledon was the big standout moment for her that season. Some might argue that there should be an asterisk next to that title because Russian and Belarusian athletes were barred from competing in the championships. Because of this, Rybakina missed out on the 2,000 ranking points that she otherwise would have received. Elena's ranking stayed around the 20s or so after winning Wimbledon, so her draws weren't as easy as they could be either, and she suffered some earlier exits. Rybakina also missed out on some extra points after failing to qualify for that year's WTA finals. She got allegations also of being a fluke and undeserving slam winner, especially after she spoke out about not getting the best court assignments at these bigger tournaments. But Elena definitely proved the doubters wrong in 2023, consistently going deep in big tournaments, including of course when she made her second slam final in Australia. Rybakina was also one win away from completing the Sunshine Double after she won Indian Wells, but then she fell just short in the Miami Open final. Still, she claimed that second career 1000 title in Rome, and she finished the year ranked number 4. That Rome title remains the last 1000 level or higher trophy that Rybakina has claimed, which really shouldn't be the case given her talent. In my opinion, she should be racking up multiple slams alongside Iga and Arena, but her ongoing health issues are holding her back. Plus, it's clear that Elena still has some mental hurdles to overcome to avoid faltering in the high pressure moments in the majors. Now, playing devil's advocate, the newer and honestly more grueling WTA schedule could be hurting Rybakina as well. Rybakina is not a fan of 1000 tournaments like Rome and Madrid now being 2 weeks long, which gives players less time to rest and recover ahead of Roland Garros. Elena has been very outspoken against the tour for requiring players to compete in more events as well. Recently, the WTA made it compulsory for the top players to compete in literally 21 tournaments, including the 4 majors, 10 1000 tournaments, 6 500s, and the UN Championships if they qualify. That's a lot of tennis. Iga Swiatek also spoke out about this being a possible contributor to burnout. Rybakina said that she could see more players retiring from the sport rather early, like Ash Barty did because of this. Whether Rybakina was hinting at her being one of those players who might retire early, I'm not sure, but with the way things are going, I wouldn't be surprised if she's no longer competing on the tour in 3 years. For now though, all I can do is wish her the best, and if we don't see her compete in the WTA finals, I hope 2025 will be an injury and illness-free season for the 25-year-old. What are y'all thoughts on Elena Rybakina's current situation? Does she have the potential to do greater things in the sport and perhaps be a Hall of Famer, or is she a bit overhyped? Also, is Rybakina simply injury prone with a poor immune system, or is there something else going on beneath the surface? Leave your opinions in the comments and subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified on any more developments in this story. Thanks for watching again and for your support, and I'll see y'all next time here on Christian's Court.